Yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to the event. We're here in particular to honor Dennis González. First of all, just a great human, wonderful musician and artist, but most importantly, a family man. And so tonight we invited members of Dennis' family, Stefan, Aaron, Carol, Izzy, here to say some words, and so we can remember and honor him in the context of his artwork, his talismans.
And I know that he would be very happy to be here and be among you and could say things a lot better than I could. But
probably embarrass me and Aaron too.
Yeah, he would embarrass. I could embarrass you too, but that's for another time.
My dad has been an artist, since before I was born. But I remember him doing oil paintings when I was a kid, and then he went over and did a lot of other different kinds of media through the years. What he called xerographs, which were basically just collages of like Xerox copies that he would then color and do things with. He would do like books out of mixed media and stuff. But when he started doing these, before he settled on calling them talismans, he called them archetypal objects. And I remember him having like a series of dreams in which it came to him that he was supposed to do this. And then I remember there was various people in his life who were into more esoteric and magical things that all of a sudden appeared in his life and said, yes, you were called to do this.
This is Dennis González. I have been making talismans for maybe 30 years or more, ranging from tall tree limbs wrapped in yarn and wire to dried gourds decorated with bells and feathers, all the way to small, personal, protective, and practical amulets for wearing or for hanging in the house. They are living entities filled with energy and guidance, and they help conserve the magic in your dreams and in your fleeting thoughts.
And it says that they're living entities and that they're to preserve your dreams, in the waking world, whatever you want to project on them, whatever you want them to impart with you.
And he would wrap them in yarn and twine and wire, and he would paint them. And then he started getting other, like pieces of instruments and household objects and incorporating them in various ways. I'm sure you can see
this gourd in particular, it was decked out in various other ways. He liked to hang a lot of these things outside, and the elements over time would deplete them. And as Aaron said, him trying to be super spiritual or whatever, he'd be like, well, it's supposed to do that or whatever. Well, because he used to do more grandiose, bigger stuff, but of course as he was getting older, even just doing this was labor intensive for him. The smaller pieces really took it out of him. I do believe that this one right here, that's from some sort of wind instrument from India that Dad brought back.
Right.
Working in the music program in DISD, he would get like hand-me-downs, be like, oh, this cello is busted, have it, and he would just turn it into art or utilize it somehow.
Some of them do double as instruments. This one right here is a gourd, and it does have seeds in it, but he used to use it as a shaker because you could
He said these are protective objects.
Yeah.
And he said that he kept them around the house for their kind of functional magic.
He always had sticks wrapped in yarn in front of like every window in the house to protect us from whatever outside forces may be lurking. Yeah. But for the most part, this was stuff that was just practical use around the house. It was for the house. And so I'm glad that, I don't know if it was a post that he made online that you noticed, or if you happened to be over there and you saw these and that's how you brought it up, or if he initiated the conversation.
I went over to your house and saw the talismans, and we started talking about them, and it was just really fascinating because he talked about them as practical objects.
Yeah.
And I just really connected with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we started talking about showing them.
Where would you say the origin comes from? Is it from his family background where it started coming, like his inspiration originally came from to start making them?
I remember one day, it's like it hit him like a ton of bricks. All of a sudden he was like, I have to get gourds, I have to get sticks. And he started...
I remember we'd be driving and he'd see something cool on the road and pull over. And
Yeah,
it's a piece of trash. That
But
he'd throw out.
it was very driven. Like, it was like all of a sudden he just had to do this.
Remember he would do arrangements in the yard too, where
Like rocks.
It'd be rocks and some feathers and some maybe some dead flowers or something, and he would do these like little swirly coil type formations.
That was also a thing. I forgot about that.
But it was also the purpose of it was to absorb into the ground and for the elements to take it over. And
But
break
he
it
said
down
that there were certain like people like from specifically like Latin American traditions that he befriended during that time, who actually sought him out. And it's like they knew that they needed to talk to him. And they kind of gave him, because he said at first he had no context for it, that he didn't know what it meant. And that they told him, well, these objects look like these objects in this kind of tradition.
Right.
And this is what they mean. And so it kind of helped him get, like, I guess, sort of a center for it.
When he was making these talismans, was he using like a specific procedure every time, or was it more free form?
His process was always very improvisational. He kind of went into like certain modes, you know, like, okay, I'm gonna do several sticks with the yarn and do them in, like, these patterns seem to work.
Yeah, his
you know?
plan would formulate once he started putting the work in, and then it evolved into patterns that started to have some, rhyme to the reason, a reason to the rhyme.
My friends used to be like, oh, you could tell that's Aaron's dad's car.
Right.
Check out the feather. You know?
Well, I was going to say that my brother just had this enormous want to create, and it started at a very young age. He was always very much a nonconformist, which made him clash with my parents. You know, my parents who were teachers and Sunday school teachers and all of that. And he was such an intellectual, like he wanted to be an archaeologist, and I learned so much about rocks and all that from him, and then he wanted to be a paleontologist, and then he wanted to be a weatherman and all of this.
This is like under the age of 10, right?
Yeah, oh, he was like 5, 6.
Yeah,
I mean, he was
I believe
reading,
it. I remember him telling us
he was
the same
reading
thing.
encyclopedias at age 4, okay?
Right.
I need to ask him something because I thought, oh, he's studying. Well, he wasn't. He had my typewriter, and he had a sheet of foil in it instead of paper, and he was writing a poem that was called Silver Leaf. Silver Leaf. I was like, who types on foil? You know, and it was just so beautiful, and I was like, aren't you studying? And he goes, I read it through, you know, and he would make an A, all right? It was just an explosion of music and art and poetry, and he was always doing something, you know, always, and it was, I mean, couldn't keep up with it. You know?
It's intimidating for us to try and locate everything at that house because there's nothing untouched by something quasi-artistic in some way. It's going to it'll take the rest of our lives to archive all this stuff.
I'm sure. The artwork and everything just shone through. You know,
Yeah, it's like an explosion.
Yeah, he couldn't help himself. He could not help himself.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it was like on the inside being in his head if you're putting out that much. I can't even fathom. I mean, it's much easier to be a musician because I just hit things.
Right.
You know, putting in so much diligence for multiple art projects that go across all mediums. That seems impossible. I wish.
I remember coming home from work, and I had a nice set of mixing bowls, the stainless steel mixing bowl things. He had nailed my mixing bowls that I used every day
percussion instrument
to the sawhorse and could hit them, and they were different pitches because they're different sizes, and I was like,
making practical objects into instruments. But yeah, I remember him doing that
and do you
kind of
remember
stuff.
him doing an oil painting on my very nice white tablecloth?
No.
Yeah.
It's all coming out now. But our dad he would have back problems because he had been in a car wreck. So sometimes he would use a cane occasionally. This is before he was 40,
Oh, I
or
know
maybe he
what
was
you're gonna
exactly
say.
40. But yeah, he came in with this cane. It's one of those adjustable canes, you know, like it has the button you push and then it opens up the 3 or 4 notches. And he came in, he didn't even say any words. He just looked at me and Aaron like, what's up? And then he pulled it up and played it like a flute and ripped
And it
this
jammed.
incredible solo, this incredible
Yeah,
jazz
like
solo on a cane, and it sounded better than any flute.
And then we tried to get him to do it again later, and he couldn't do it. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's just how ridiculous and magical and silly that dude was. Thanks again, Randall. Thanks to
Yeah,
all
thank
of
you
y'all,
very much.
the family, for showing up and everyone.
Well, thanks so much, everyone, for coming out this evening. Thanks to the González family. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Randall.